Be the student of life. Life gives us lots of interesting opportunities. The incident, some small incident may trigger a deeper thought if we are prepared to listen to, as if the wisdom would pop up. I thought about the phrase, be a student of life. Maybe it's something related to have a calm and quiet mind. So we are ready to accept everything as it is and come up with ways to overcome if that's the difficulty. So in a way, it's a surrender to what is to come from external or perhaps possibly from internal when we have the emotional upset and so forth, and be ready to accept everything as it is, be sincere and truthful, and therefore with that attitude we can go deeper into our consciousness or into subconscious or unconsciousness even, so that the whole existence of who we are can be following the law of nature, the situation that makes us to be wise, productive instead of negative, and put us into a delusionary thought or avoidance or some sort of a craving to do something to avoid the problem. So in a way, life is a pain. And because of that, there's a gain and the joy to overcome the pain. The law of entropy says when everything is left alone, things will get disorganized. That's what's happening in the universe, in the nature in some way, but when it comes to the living being, given whatever the situation, we are the dust of the universe, yet there's a way of something, perhaps life energy, if you may call it, to well up, come up, and make us combine with all the atoms and whatever the particles to form who we are. And that's the evolution of life. And I can imagine so many difficulties my ancestors may have gone through. Some picture I often thought about some time ago was if I'm living in a cave and there's a fire burning and there's a group of people in the cave and I'm responsible to keep the fire going. But if I fall asleep and if that happens, the fire dies and everyone get upset. Everybody get upset and don't know what to do. And that's the kind of pain that we face as individuals and also as group. But for whatever reason, we have this source of wisdom within us, creativity, and even to the point of having a brain, if we can use it right, so that more idea can pop up and we can move on, even under difficulties. One other thought when I was thinking about this subject to talk on YouTube, for whatever reason, I came up with the idea that I want to share something about the belly breathing, which I did before. And at the time I was talking about the belly breathing related to the willpower and connecting to our energy source, so to speak. Instead of a brain being the main player, or it could be a main player at a certain point, but there's some energy source, I feel, and this is a Japanese often expressed idea, that the belly breathing is important. Zen monks talk about it. And what it seemed to do, and I have seen on the YouTube, not the YouTube, but the internet when I checked about it, that the belly breathing, deeper breathing and long quiet, and then belly goes up and down. That kind of breathing would enhance the ability for us to be more resilient to the stress and calm our mind. When we want to have a calm and quiet mind, we focus on natural breathing, and often the belly breathing is not as emphasized, but I felt it could be important because I noticed what it can do to us. It's kind of like a biofeedback. Whatever in our body has some ability to make us to live better, because the brain is in the body to process the information, go through the nutrition, processing, digestion, from digestion to, also creating the blood cells and having the immune system and all that. And that is not done in the brain, but it's very critical for our existence. So modern life makes us to feel like our mind is most important, all the information processing and keep up with work and all that, but tend to forget, for example, when my stomach is hurting, I may ignore it. And that's not healthy as a total being of life. So, student of life, I believe, implies that we need to know ourselves, know thyself, learn about who we are, what we do, why, what we can learn, and how we can go through the stress or the challenges, the problems or opportunities, so that we can move on in our life positively while possibly having fun along the way. So that's the no pain, no gain idea of being life, and calm and quiet mind, accepting whatever comes in our way as it is, and always take the stance of be sincere and truthful. I think that's the essence. Maybe I'm missing some other element, but probably that's mouthful to combine, synthesize, and put in place and work. And that to me is just to be a student of life. And with that attitude, whatever the difficulties we may encounter, we may see it as something, as a part of life, impermanence, and how we ride the wave. If that's the surfing analogy, in whatever comes nature's way, externally and internally, we try being calm and quiet, stay that stance, live with that way, and go over the difficulties. We can reflect what has happened in our life. I mentioned about the plan, do, check, act, starting with check, act, plan, do, PDCA or CAPD, and mentioned about the Sila-samadhji, panna, right conduct, calm and quiet mind, and coming up with wisdom. I mentioned those in other YouTubes, but basically, that to me, all those elements that we talked about, the subject I talked about, maybe somehow put in place, synthesized, and have that as the basic construct of basic element of what we can work on and be a student of life along the way that we live. So let's find the moment, have a time and space with calm and quiet mind, be sincere and truthful, and have confirmed such a way of thinking and practicing that to be a good student of life. Thank you.